Hey guys, Ninja here, and I'm doing a review on Ghost of Tsushima. This is really the first time I've ever done a review. There may be other games I do this on, but this is really will be the first time I've ever done it. Reasons because this has been the only game so far, out of all my gaming experience, at least in the last 4 to 5 years, that I can say that has hit differently than most games. Ghost of Tsushima, how do I put it? The way they did the game, right? You know, you have your everyone has the games they grew up on, everyone has the games that they fell in love with. But this one in particular, in a sense, it broke the mold. It felt in a place where like AAA games now are not like top quality. Shoot, to be honest, I'll completely honest. The reason I lost hope in gaming, in general, like I still play. It's not like I haven't been playing, but like the reason I lost some hope in gaming was games like Destiny 2, Anthem, Battleborn was one of the games that I used to enjoy, but I dropped that kinda. I actually just dropped it all the way out because the game's gonna end like next year. But you know, games like that and Marvel Heroes Omega, right? All these games that I thought could be really, really good, and like some can argue that maybe Destiny 2 is really good, Anthem's really good, whatever. You know, some people can argue that, but like for me personally, none of those games have became what I thought they were going to be. My Ghost of Tsushima, I had an idea what I might expect, but I felt like I kind of got exactly what I was looking for. And so I'm gonna give a review. This review will be. It'll be in a sense like a rambling session. You may hear me go from multiple points. I've got like a little list here to go off of, but you may hear me go over multiple different points and then go right back over them because I'm talking about whatever point I'm talking about may pertain to you know, another subject. So there's that, and I would end up doing a you know, a number. I want to say I'm probably gonna do it out of 5, but I'll give you the equivalent for that from out of 5 to out of 10. I'll give you that equivalent. So, Ghost of Tsushima, world-wise, everyone knows this game is a beautiful game. Some people may argue against that. Shroud and I think Lucas Gaming. I think that's his actual name, or no, the Amazing Lucas. There's a number 2 people that I've heard like don't like the game aren't too impressed by the game. I mean that's their opinion, is what it is. For me though, right, the world, and I didn't fully look at Lucas's thing to know what he's gripes on the game. Where I'm not saying anything in particular about any of these people, so don't get it twisted. My thing is, world-wise, the way this game looks and feels, I feel like, you know, if we're just talking about the world and how it's designed, I feel like I'm living in this world as Jin. Like I can see that. It's not really having a way marker to tell you where to go. You kind of just, you know, you're following the wind, seeing the birds take you somewhere, seeing the foxes, learning lore, right? I'm learning lore about Japan, right? And I don't have to go read this up in a scroll or something that you pick up. I don't really know how to do that. I can get extra information, but everything that I've learned in the game, right, I've learned by playing. And so I put that on good game design, really, but I also put that on good world building. Plus they got something to draw back on too as well. I've found a lot of places where I've taken pictures, and I may end up doing a collage, right? of all the pictures I've taken inside the game, and I might even do more than just one. But world-wise, I can truly feel like I lived in this world. I've met the people. Now, yeah, I haven't had, I haven't talked to everybody in a sense of, a lot of people are called peasant, right? Like, a lot of people you don't know the names of. And, you don't really know, you know what their life's like. You can kind of see it. You know what they're dealing with. But you don't necessarily have a personal, opinion about these people. Now, you have some named characters. But, honestly, like, other than those named characters, you really don't have a lot of personal grasp on the people. But that does not mean that you don't have an understanding of what they're going through, the struggles that they go through every day. And world-wise, I think they got that down packed. Now, sure, they could probably do better. I'm gonna break off of this particular point. So, kind of like some of the things in here are kind of like glitches and stuff that I hope they and I'm just addressing these glitches now before I forget about them. I do hope that they fix the glitches where, and about to shoot the fire on me again. They fix the glitches where, like, when you're going into a crawl space, right, like, you get stuck because you can't exit there. I'm glad you're at least able to fast travel anywhere, but I hate that that glitch is there, because I don't feel like I need to quit the game in order to fix that problem. I don't like the idea I have to do that. But, I mean, it's bugs on a game that just came out and I expected. Going back to the world, though, and this will go into characters, so I may end up talking about characters in there. I understand completely what these people are going through. I understand it completely. No, I don't. I've never lived in the life, of, Tsushima. I don't know what, it's like to be raided by invading force or something like that. I didn't live in the days when we didn't necessarily get, like, taken over, but I didn't live in the days when Pearl Harbor happened, when World War II happened. I didn't deal with that kind of thing, right? But they've designed the world in a way that it's like, I get it. I totally get it. Let's talk about, like, how they set up, like, ways to sneak around. Nothing feels like set pieces of, oh, this is about to be a battle. Now, sure, you've got these ring arenas where you're about to about to go duel somebody, right? You got these ring arenas, but there's supposed to be, by design, a fight, a one-on-one duel fight, and therefore it makes sense for it to be there, right? But to sneak around in general, you do not need to. There's nothing weirdly placed. There's nothing in the area that doesn't look like it belongs there, right? And so therefore, for me, the world feels like it flows nicely. It feels like it's a real place that I can go visit. It feels like I can see a struggle that didn't just seem made up out of nowhere. So for world, I like that. Now we're going to talk about mechanics, and we're going to dive in a little bit on themes, but we're going to put them together, alright? So, the theme of Ghost of Tsushima is that you want to change and evolve. You want to break out of your mold. And the reason I say that is, let's start off in the beginning. You kind of learn this, literally at the beginning. Kodo Khan destroys the whole samurai faction of Shimura by himself. What did he do? He studied his enemy. He learned their tactics. He learned their language. Right? He pretty much could anticipate anything they could ever do or think of. simply by studying them. And so he's evolved, right? Um, this theme, this pertains to mechanics as well, so I will get into that. I want to throw out another thing to you. Another thing he says to you, not to you, but he says to one of the guys in the story, and I'm gonna give some light spoilers. They're gonna be like really lines that you may say. I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit, so it's not exactly the line, but this way you guys I'm gonna try to not spoil it for you as best I can, but you should assume that there will be some spoilers in this review, because I'm assuming that you have played the game all the way through. So in this game, there's a line. It's between Ryuzo and Kodokan, and Kodo says the samurai are rigid, and therefore, what's the word I'm looking for? They're limited, right? They don't have many things they can do. You got an archer, you got a guy using a blade, and you got your oars, pretty much. That's really all you really got. But Kodokan, the Mongols, right? They're ruthless. They'll do anything. It doesn't matter. Like they'll evolve to whatever they're fighting, and that's something Jin learned. Not directly at the beach, but at the beach, he learned that if he keeps going the way the samurai are going, they're going to lose these battles, right? These lines, and another line I'm gonna throw out here, just to get another way so you can look at it. There's another line where Jin says, "Brutality is all they know." What does brutality mean for the Mongols? They will do anything and everything to win. They will learn and evolve to beat you. One of the things that I love about this game is that enemies don't get harder because they got more health. They get harder because they're wearing armor. It's not just, oh well, let's bump up this guy's health, let's throw a bunch of brutes at you. No, you do see more brutes as you go up, sure, but they throw more guys with armor at you, and so their damage doesn't feel stronger, but you also don't feel overpowered, right? It also, and I'll also throw this out there, because of that, it promotes using every stance. Sure, you could stay on a shield stance. That's certainly true. There's no reason to move past shield stance. Literally, shield stance, water stance, right? It's meant for blocking. It's meant for people that are using shields. And what does a shield do? It blocks. So you're fighting anyone that's blocking, right? Spear, you're fighting a guy with a sword, you're fighting a guy who's a brute, right? They're blocking. Like, what else? Shield stance works really well for that, especially the charged heavy into the flurry attack. That destroys guards. Now, it's not the best thing you could use against someone that's got a sword or a sword only, or someone's got a spear only, or a brute. It's not the best thing, sure, but you could run that through anything and you would be fine, right? You could really run any of them, to be honest, but that works the best amongst all of them. So while we're talking about really combat, I want to go over the idea, and I'm gonna talk about Sekiro for a minute. I don't like the overheads, not overheads. I don't like the unblockables in this game, and I'll put it like this: Sekiro had a better unblockable system. You either had a thrusting attack or a sweep attack. I'm willing to believe a thrusting or a sweep attack is an unblockable. I'm not willing to believe an overhead from a sword or a side attack from a spear or a sword, right? Is an unblockable. I'm not willing to believe that, because from those same guys that I'm fighting, and I don't know what just happened there, but from those same guys that I'm fighting, right? They can do an overhead attack or a side attack and it won't be unblockable. And that's the reason I don't really like the unblockable system, because it doesn't make sense that this would be an unblockable, but like, you know, any other attack that's roughly the same motion isn't. Alright, now that's going over that. But going back to themes and mechanics, one of the things that I think this game does is it opens you up to other ideas. And what I mean by that is that I feel like the gaming community in general is used to everything being a certain way. Think about it. Every time you play a shooter, you're thinking the buttons are going to be, you got your aim button, you got your shoot button, you got your grenade, and maybe your utility item. And in every one of the games, you got something like that. It goes similarly to another game, and there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. Having something that feels good, you know, having something that feels good, and using that across other games is a good idea. You know, you learn from each other. But at the same time, because of that, we're rigid like the samurai, as in the idea that we only expect a game to be a certain way. A lot of the YouTubers that I like to watch, I think that the game should have a lock-on system. Like I said, you probably actually, yeah, like I said before, it's not that I have a problem with the idea that people think they need a lock-on system, and I get it completely. I thought about this when I was first starting the game, like, where's the lock-on system? But I found that, and like I told you earlier in the thing, I may end up saying something I said before, and early in the video, so you may hear me again. It's not that there's a problem like for me with the lock-on system, but I found that you don't need to lock on to your enemies in this game. Remember, you'll fight hordes constantly. If you're running the samurai route, you'll fight hordes. You can't lock on, because if you lock on, you're not going to see the guys behind you. You're not going to see the guys. You may see a couple of guys beside you, but you're not going to see everything around you. That's why you can't. Good lord, that jump is huge. That's why I think like they like to break the mold. And I feel like, at least in this game, there's a lot of things that you, as a gamer, are gonna wanna just focus on. Oh, this is what I'm used to. But I feel like this game says, okay, you need to be able to expand your horizons on what's happening in games. And so therefore, maybe you need to try other genres, maybe you need to try other style of games, maybe you need to not have something always the way you're used to, right? So really, on themes, that's really what I'm talking about. But truly, and Sucker Punch probably had nothing to do with that idea. I probably just got that out of nowhere. But as I was like looking at, as I was playing the game, as I was looking at reviews on the game, you know, people talking about it, I wanted to see how other people felt about it. I found that what happens between the Shimura clan, well, the Shimura army, and what's happening against the Ghost and against the Kotal, is that theme struck out the most to me. So on that, themes and mechanics, they kind of go hand in hand for me, but I mean, it doesn't mean everyone else is gonna get the same idea. So now I want to talk about characters. So we're viewing the story of Ghost of Tsushima through Jin's eyes. So everything he encounters, you know, we understand it from Jin's personality. We learn, not Jin's personality, but Jin's point of view. Now, Jin's personality, we've seen it change. We've seen him become the Ghost. We've seen him break off from everything he knew. We've seen him have the new Ghost code, pretty much, right? We've seen this. We see the interactions he has with people. We've seen the you know, how he's making people's lives better as the ghost and as a samurai. We've seen this. We also see the pain he feels when he's disobeying Shimura. We see the pain he feels when he's having to leave his home. We see it. We see the pain he's feeling, you know, because his friends, his family, you know, people he's fighting with, when they got destroyed by Kodo Khan. Like, you know, we see that. It's hard to miss, really. And I'm not saying I'm not saying Ghost of Tsushima has like the best story characters for anyone else, but for me personally, I would say it does. Now, no, this game is not perfect. I'm not saying that. I'll never say that. But for me, this game is probably on my like top 10 games I would recommend to somebody. So that may just give you like a hint to like my points, my grading system at the very end. But Jin, right? I understand him completely. A woman named Yoriko. If you paid any attention to the lore of like samurai, then you'll understand what I mean by Yoriko is like a grandmother / mother figure to Jin, and what happened with her. You'll understand, and it's like being that what happens to her, or what happens with her, right? This is a side quest if you are only a main quest player, and so this is also a spoiler. Just gonna throw it out there. And so back out now if you want to. Or, you know, skip over, let's say, I might give a timestamp of when you may want to skip over this. Yoriko dies. Alright? I hate to say it, but it's true. And the thing is, I don't know what exactly caused her to die. I want to think that maybe collecting these poisons for Jin may have caused her to die early. I also want to think that maybe her being alone for like as long as she has been, or being in the wilderness as long as she has been, and she hasn't eaten, has caused whatever her original sickness to be to escalate. Like, that's what I'm thinking. But I mean, I've been in a situation where I've seen my grandmother in a bad spot where looks like she could die at any moment. Like, I've been there, and so to see that with Jin, like, it really, and I know I'm gonna say this again, it really hit differently. Now I'm gonna say this, just talking about me right now. So for me personally, I would say, at least for games and media, right? Any kind of media. Now if we're talking about someone in real life, it may be different, but even then I feel like I'm emotionally dull. And what do I mean by that? So in most games, in most, you know, in a lot of, unless someone like close to me died, like really close to me died, I don't really feel the sadness of when something happens to somebody, or I don't always feel joy when something happens for somebody. You know, I feel like I'm just saying platitudes half the time whenever I'm, you know, talking to somebody. But unless it's like someone like really close, right? But even with that, when I'm also dealing with games and stuff, and I see like a really sad moment or something, I've never had a moment in gaming, and at least in my current career in gaming, as far as back as back in the PS3 days, right? At least as far back as that, I have never had an emotional grab as Ghost of Tsushima has done it. And I'll go back to Yoriko when I was talking about her. Yoriko situation, or the grandmother figure, when she dies, right? Like I said, it hit different. It made me think about how I would feel in that situation. how worried I would be. I could see the pain in Jin's eyes when this happened. I could understand why he was so hurt, why he was so worried about his woman, because he grew up with her. This is practically his mom slash grandma, even though he did have a mother. It's not. This is pretty much her, right? Like, you know. And I'll probably turn the audio down on this a little bit, but this is her, right? And so I felt that. And this is probably the only game for me personally that I can actually say they did a really good job on it. I really felt the anger, the the emotional grab that Jin was feeling. I understood it completely. It was, I wouldn't say I cried, but I actually felt something, and I gotta give them Sucker Punch something on that, because I don't know, maybe it's just that games today are kind of generic in a sense of you've seen it before, and yeah, people have seen people die in games all the time, but they did a really good job on this one. Like, this is the only game I've ever truly felt. When you hear a woman or a man scared in this game, right? Like, I haven't listened to the English audio, so I can't tell you on that. I went through it as it's a samurai. I'm assuming they're gonna speak Japanese. But I paid attention to the voice acting. Sure, maybe the lip flaps look terrible with it being an original English dub, and then it's subbed in Japanese. Maybe I should have felt terrible about that, because the lip flaps look terrible. But for me personally, the lip flaps didn't really matter. But going back to the character, I'm going right back to the characters. Like I told you guys in the beginning, I'll probably end up doing this a bunch of times. When you see the men and women, right, and they're scared, you can hear it in their voice. It's strong. It's not no generic screaming noise, no generic weeping noise. This feels like someone just dealt with their father or mother or somebody dying, right? This feels, you can feel that. It's not something you gotta think about. It's not something you're like, oh, this happened here. I know what happened here. It's nothing like that. They did it in a way that it actually made me think, oh, I need to actually go save these people. Sure, I'll find another peasant down the road. It's not like I won't. Like, I see them all the time when I see them from Mongols, but I still do it. It's not something I decide to avoid, right? It doesn't benefit me besides maybe getting a couple points on my my legend, right? But it feels like it's worth doing because they did the characters just right enough. Now, eventually, I'll probably get emotionally dull on the random characters and how they may feel towards any situation. I'm sure that'll eventually happen. Strictly off the idea that I've heard it so much, but I'm telling you guys, when it comes to this game and how they did the voice acting, I love it 100%. I feel like every character fit. Going back to characters in general, I understand why Ryuzo, and another spoiler, guys, I'll probably give another timestamp. I understand when Ryuzo decides to betray Sekai. I understand that. His men are hungry. It's not about Sekai. It's not about the rest of Tsushima. It's about his men. He's the leader of these men, and therefore he needs to watch out for them. They're like family to him. He's lost everything that he originally had. The only thing left he's got are his men, and therefore I understand why he made the choice that he did. I understand it completely. Do I like it? No, but I get it. You want your stories to be Like, you want your heroes to be, they go through a struggle, but they have their allies and all that. You may want something like that, but I completely understood it, right? I see something amazing. Anyway, I got that. I understood. I'm not going to talk about this particular point because that, the character in there, I feel like a lot of people are going to love this particular character as long as they're on the, as long as they're alive anyway. So I'm not going to talk about that. But I understand Yuna's side of things and what happens with her group. I understand that idea. Like, I get it. I totally feel that from her voice when she's crying over the deceased. I hear it from. I hear the anger and anguish, and I think her name is Anoska or Amaska. I really didn't understand how to say her name, and so I'm butchering it hard. But the woman who's a part of the, or let's call her Lady Adachi. I understood the pain she was feeling when she said her whole family got killed. I get that. I understand that. No, it hasn't personally happened to me, but she conveyed it in a way. Sucker Punch conveyed the pain and anguish she was feeling in a way that I understood. She's in a blind rage. She's not so blind that she can't trust anybody, but she's in a blind rage, and I get that. It's a strong feeling on there. And this thing is going to be long. I'm looking at the time myself right now, so I may try to speed this up a little bit. So now I want to talk about how do I think this game will go. I'm going to give my rating soon, but I want to talk about how do I think this game will be for other people. And it really, I'm going down a specific line of thinking that it's not going to be what you think, probably. So what I'm talking about is that most people aren't, like, everyone's not going to play the game the same way. I'll put it like that. And you may say, well, that's what the developer said. I think, like, for me personally, I didn't like to use a lot of my bombs. I didn't like to be loud like that. If I got in a fight, I fought it out, and I might have used my loud items. But, and that's why, and this in particular is why I said, I'm probably not going to be talking about the way you're talking about it, or you're thinking. But a lot of my weapons I didn't really use, such as the sticky bomb. I kind of used it in the beginning, but I didn't use it often. I didn't really find a time where I thought it was a good idea, even with the maximum points that I could put on to sticky bomb. I didn't really use it a lot. I did use the shrapnel bomb, the black powder bomb, a little bit, but I still found myself not using it often. I found myself using the poison darts whenever I had them, and I found myself using the poison beads. It's a charm you'll get later if you keep searching around in the game. I found myself using things that would silence them. I didn't want anyone to know I was there, right? And so my style was purely on stealth as long as I can, but if I get caught, fight them loud as possible. That being said, like I said before, right, I didn't end up using all of my weapons or all that, so let's talk about that. I also didn't find all the armor in the game, so all this mystical armor and stuff that you'll find in the game, all the mystical abilities that you'll have, or every like I said, every weapon and stuff. I didn't find myself using that all the time. I found I wanted more of what looks good in any situation, and I worked with that. Most of my charms are specialized on stealth. I used the original deluxe edition charm, which allowed you to have minor healing on a kill, but I found myself not wanting to rely on that too much, and I found myself relying on being good at the game enough that I can get my resolve and get my healing back. So that gave me an extra slot for adding more stealth based charms. But once again, like I said, I didn't use everything. I wanted to, I really did, but me personally, from my style of play, trying to go be as true as a shinobi as I could, I didn't feel that I wanted to go that route, so I never did. And that's what I mean by, I don't think everyone will play this game the same way. So let's talk about my rating for the game. Going off of everything that I've said, sure, there's glitches in the game, but if we're avoiding talking about the glitches and talking purely about what the game's meant to be, and everything that is in the game, right? Just focusing on that idea. I want to give the game a 9, right? I want to give the game a 9. But if we're going to be realistic and add the bugs in there, I'm going to give it an 8. Overall, me personally, this game was probably one of the, and I said it before, this game gave me hope in gaming again. Like I said before, it's not, I've run into many games where I just did not, and I'm going to talk about this, but I didn't, a little bit, but it's not that, I think the game will get patched soon and it'll fix a lot of its problems, but, and Ghost of Tsushima will have its problems fixed as well. But and I'm gonna talk about this a little bit. SAO is another game in particular that I originally wanted to like, but I didn't like the combat system. The game had terrible optimization, and I'm not gonna do a review on that game. I hated that game. Sure, the game will probably be fixed. I'm not saying it can't be, but off launch, even if they fix these problems, I wouldn't like that game. It just felt too boring. I did like Fatal Bullet though, so anyone that's watched any of my streams probably knows about Fatal Bullet. But other than that, right? Besides we're talking about that, like I said, I want to give it a 9. But if we're gonna add bugs in there too, I'm gonna give it an 8. You guys have heard how I feel about the game all the way through this review, so there's that. Out of 5, I mean, 4 is the closest thing I can get to 8/9, right? So it is what it is. But yeah, thanks for listening to my ramble/rant about how much I like Ghost of Tsushima, and really my review of the game. And this is also, you could consider it a review of gaming in general, and how rigid slash what's the word I'm looking for, stuck as we are. A lot of, like, innovation's not really happening a lot because people want to go with a safe bet. But I think if they do some things with, like, Ghost of Tsushima, and just, like, break out of the mold, just do something that we tried before, but try to, do something that people didn't like before, but try to do it better, right? If they do something like that, I think we may get better games, because games will feel a lot different than the mold. Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks for watching this review on Ghost of Tsushima. I may end up doing a, like I said, I might do the collages. I might show some of the fight scenes, and I might bring some of my live streams if you want to watch some more gameplay other than what I've showed you so far. I might send that over. But yeah, anyway, thanks again for watching the video. This is 7 Ninja 7 signing out, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.